What's up, everybody? It's another beautiful, cold, foggy day here in Oklahoma, and we are starting to mess with the Camaro some here. Got it jacked up already and got it chopped and everything, but what we're doing today is we're diagnosing this whir that we're hearing from the rear end, this kind of roaring sound. It sounds like either a bearing's gone bad or we got the teeth are worn out on the ring and pinion. So we're going to dig into that and look at that today. Also got some oil. We're going to change the oil on this thing and kind of just go over it. I got some paint. We're going to kind of clean up the bottom side of this thing. And hopefully we just run into maybe some bearings worn out because that fluid was low and real milky looking, real like light brown. So there's moisture in there. Hopefully just when the bearings is failing. Hopefully the teeth are okay. That'd be easy peasy. We'll go grab a bearing, slap it in, and be good to go. So that's what we're about to dive into right now. Look at this nasty fluid coming out of this thing. Ugh. Bunch of moisture in that, and it's been that way for a while probably. Alright, so I got it opened up and drained out and everything. The gears don't look too bad. When you move the drive shaft back and forth, there's not a whole lot of end play in there, but what seems to be happening is we may have a little wear on these bearings here. It seems like they have a little bit of rock to them, as well as I was having a squeak out of this thing, a rotational squeak when you're going down the highway, and I think it's inside here in the parking brake, because I've checked all the hardware on the brake, on the rotors and pads and everything, and that all looked good. But as I sit here and spin this thing, you can hear that kind of rotational. When it comes around, you hear it. It comes around, you hear it. That right there. So I'm going to open that up and look at that. I've done the diff fluid on the Trans Am before, and this does not look familiar to me, this style right here. Normally you have the big rod that goes through it and hold your spider gears in place and goes through two of your spider gears. Pull that pin out, and then your axles push together, and then you pull your clips off of each axle and the axles slide out. This one has got this rod right here that's holding this in place. This guy, it's kind of like a wedge in there, and it looks like you pull that bolt, pull that out, and then the axles will slide in. So it's a little different style than what I'm used to. I'm gonna look for part numbers on this and see what I can come up with as well. All right, so just took off the brake rotor and found this. This is our shoe material just hanging out in there. This is a disc brake for the hydraulics, and then your parking brake is a drum. So this is a drum in here, and then there's a little shoe right here. This is the shoe, and there should be pad material on each side of it. We are going to get new parking brake shoes for this thing and throw them on. Yeah, shouldn't be too hard to get these guys swapped out here. It looks like a clip on the top right there. So we'll get those guys off, get some new shoes on there, and then what I'll probably do is reseal the rear end here and put fresh fluid in it, and we'll go take it for a cruise, because that's enough to make that kind of noise. We'll look at the other side as well and see what we got over there, and we'll see what happens. All right, so we got the rear end all disassembled here. What we have done is we removed the brake shoes from in here. For that, they hook on this clip right here, and then they sit on each side of this actuator here. And so what I did was I just pried it up, and that popped out of the clip, and then you move it away from the clip, push it down, and it pops off these bottom guys, and then you can just maneuver it around the axle flange here, and you get that brake shoe out of the way. This side, I noticed as soon as I took the rotor off, the moisture in there, that we had a bad wheel seal. So you can see this seal has gone bad. It's all over the backing of this and everything. So we're going to replace this wheel seal and this wheel bearing too. While the axle was in there, we had some up and down and left and right play on this. So we're going to replace this wheel bearing. The other wheel bearing was good. So we're going to replace this seal, this wheel bearing, and then I've got the main cap bolts loose for the diff. We're about to pull the diff out and check the main bearings for the differential right here. And once the diff's out, we'll spin the drive shaft and see how the bearings feel on the pinion. So We're gonna check out this whole rear end and make sure we're all good to go before we go back together with it. I've already pulled the main caps and the bearing races and spacers out of there, and I've got them set and oriented to their sides here. Looking at this race here though, and look at all the pitting in this thing. This diff fluid was real low for a while, and the car would sit some too, so I'm wondering if we had, like, I know we have some rust like on these bearings. That's rust all on those bearings, so we're gonna replace these races. The outside of them has like some burning, some coloring to it, some discoloration from heat. So we're gonna replace these races. We're gonna replace those bearings there, and we'll go back together with it. So I gotta get the panhard rod out of the way because this diff won't come out. I gotta undo that side of the panhard rod and let it fall down. We will go in here and remove the diff and then find a way to get these bearings off there because they're pressed on. We'll try and get these bearings off, and then we'll go get some new stuff and get her back together. All right, y'all, it's been a couple hours, but we're back over here at Richie's house. I don't know if I even said anything about that, but we're at Richie's house. We're using his garage because the TA's tore down in my garage. So we just live a couple streets apart, so that's what's cool. We're in the same neighborhood, so he let me use his garage here. Plenty of room in here. We got his Stang sitting right there. I just had to use it to run into town to go get some parts. So I got all those parts we were talking about. It's been a couple hours now because I'll show you. I took the diff with me, and I swung by my buddy's shop, Smitty's, behind the Napa in Mustang, Oklahoma, and I had them press these old bearings off for me because I went to O'Reilly's and see if they had a wrench tool, the bearing splitter tool you put back there, and then you hook the jaw puller up to the splitter and pull them, and they didn't offer it no more. They didn't have it in the wrench tool selection or one you could buy, so I just swung by there, and he was able to pull it for me. And this one was not bad. We got this one to come right off, the old one. This one was on there damn good because you can't really get behind this guy. So what we ended up doing is removing the ring gear from the differential so it fit in his press. We had to move that so it wasn't too wide to go down through the opening. But we ended up having to cut the old one off anyways. And it looks like someone's been in here and done it before because there's this cut mark right here. And whenever we had the bearing off, you could see it was cut. So someone's done these bearings before, but it's just, they've gone, you know, it's leaked and had low fluid and been ran and got hot again and damaged them. We got them on there, so now it's just time to start bolting stuff back together. It's kind of a mess under here, but time to start going back together with it. So I've confirmed this is an aftermarket differential in here. It's a helical gear set, helical posi is what this is. That's the style it is and everything. I looked up these numbers on here and I couldn't get nothing to pull up. But the guys over there, Smitty's, are telling me that most likely this is the stampings and everything make this look like it's a Richmond gear set too as well. So it looks like we got some aftermarket gears and diff in this thing. Really cool. Yeah, that number wasn't doing anything. If any of y'all watching know anything about these and could tell me more information about this, that'd be awesome if y'all could leave a comment. But we got the new races here and the new bearings pressed on. So we're gonna go ahead and stuff this guy back in there, do the wheel bearing and wheel seal on that side, and seal her up, fill her up, and be good to go. We got the old wheel seal out here. Just use this pry bar, that's the best way to do it. Just go right in there and pop it out. Didn't take much pressure for that big old thing. So got that out. Now we got a slide hammer and cylindrical bearing remover tool from O'Reilly's. We're gonna use to pull this guy. So we'll go ahead and get that tool set up and get that bearing out. All right, so here's the tool all set up. We got the slide hammer here, and then the attachment on the end here. This comes in a kit that comes with 3 different sizes, and what you do is you loosen this nut way down. You flip this guy sideways like that, it'll feed through the bearing, then it comes back out, tightens down, and then you hit it with the slide hammer. Nasty, cruddy thing. back in, the speed sensor is back in, differential in, main caps are torqued. The main cap torque, from what I was seeing online, anywhere from 60 to 75. So I put it at 70. So we're gonna call it good there. Main caps are torqued. Got the gasket sealing surface all cleaned up there. About to clean up this guy here. Get it put in and torqued down. Get it filled up with fluid. And then wait for my wife to get here with the brake shoes. I forgot to pick them up while I was out. So when she gets here with those parking brake shoes, we'll get those on and get that all back together and take her for a spin. So we got pretty much everything disconnected off of here. Harness is off of it, fuel line's off. All the bolts are loose except for the back one on this side, about to pull it. And then this intake's coming out of here. These have been ported before. Look at the grooving on there.